All right, so let's hop right in. We'll start with the leader-centric models. These were originally developed in the early 1900s till about the 1950s, and the first approach to leadership is what we call the great man theories. The great man theories focus around the idea that some people are born leaders and some people are not. That there is something special, unique about some leaders, about some people that make them effective leaders, whereas other people just don't have that je ne sais pas. When you think about when great man theories develop, you can kind of understand the sexism and also just the hierarchical approach. They were developed in the beginning of the first half of the 20th century, and during that time we have World War One, we have World War Two, we have all these characters on the national scene who seem to have an outsized influence on history and politics. So people like Hitler, like Winston Churchill, and FDR. And so this is the context, the political context, the historical context in which great man theories developed. Of course, there were no, or I should say, not a lot of female leaders got good press during this time. So the emphasis is really on masculinity or male leaders. Likewise, when we look at what was going on in businesses in America during this time period, we have these companies like General Motors, GE, AT&T, companies that are very hierarchical, very structured, where you have one person at the top calling the shots, and then their commands trickle down through the rest of the organization. But again, you have one person at top. At the time, it was always a man, right? Whereas now it's only 97% men. And you have one person making the decisions, and that person is the leader, and there's something special and unique about them. So, despite the kind of negative beginnings of great man theories, we call them trait theories now, by the way, because we find that a little more PC. Despite these kind of negative beginnings of the theories, there are some meaningful, important knowledge to get out of these theories. Intelligence is related to leadership effectiveness. So, all things being equal, the more intelligent you are, the more effective a leader you'll be. This makes sense when we think about what leaders do, right? Leaders have to sort through information, they have to make decisions. You have to remember things about your details about your followers to connect to them in a meaningful way, and all of those things require intelligence. So, in general, the smarter you are, the more effective you'll be as a leader. Likewise, leaders are usually high on conscientiousness. Conscientiousness is how organized, detail oriented, and goal oriented you are. And if we define leadership as influencing a group towards accomplishment of a goal, then of course being goal oriented will help accomplish that, as well as being detail oriented and organized. Extroversion is also related to effective leadership. So we'll talk about traits in a later lecture, but for now, we can just think of extroverts as people who get energy from being around other people, whereas introverts are drained by being around other people and they need to be alone to recharge their batteries. So obviously, if you're a leader, you're going to be walking around, interacting with people for most of the day. If you get energy from those people, then you'll be a more effective leader. But if you find those draining, then that will have a negative impact on your effectiveness as a leader. So extroversion is positively related to leadership effectiveness. Uh, Leaders are also emotionally stable. So we think of emotional stability and neuroticism. Neurotic people are people that are what we would call moody or maybe emotionally volatile. They're very reactive to the environment around them in regard to their mood. Whereas emotionally stable people are even keel. We can see how this would be a great trait for leaders to have. Leaders need to work in situations that are stressful. They need to keep their cool. They need to not be scared. They need to be able to think and act in a rational, effective way, even under stressful circumstances. So being emotionally stable contributes to that.